Remember when football was pure, raw punishment?
Trying to slip his way out, gets outside.
The star of that show wasn't the QB, but the fullback, a human sledgehammer who lived for contact. However, in today's pass-happy NFL, he's a ghost. We're counting down the all-time greats from football's most brutal and forgotten position. Number 10, Sam Gash, Tony Richardson. These players were the embodiment of the fullback ethos. They weren't there to rack up fantasy points or get their names in the headlines. They were there to do the dirty work, and they did it better than almost anyone. Sam Gash was a straight-up wrecking ball. A two-time Pro Bowler, he was a classic battering ram who treated every single play like a personal affront. His job was to find the biggest, meanest defender on the other team and flatten him, and he did it with a relish that was borderline terrifying. He was the guy you loved to have on your team and absolutely hated to play against.
It's all about kicking their ass, physical being the...
Then you have Tony Richardson, a man who was so good at his job, he lasted an incredible 16 seasons in the league. Think about that for a second. 16 years of running into the jaws of an NFL defense. Richardson was the ultimate lead blocker, the guy who paved the way for Hall of Fame running backs like Priest Holmes and Adrian Peterson. They piled up the yards and the accolades, but none of it would have been possible without Richardson creating a path for him to run through. These two didn't have the flashy stats, but they were the unsung heroes who made everyone around them better. Number 9, Kyle Juszczyk. In a league that has all but forgotten about his position, Juszczyk has not only survived, but thrived.
Scrambles and throws, and it's Juszczyk. Kyle Juszczyk, a first down.
An 8-time Pro Bowler, he's living proof that the fullback can still be a dynamic weapon in a modern offense. Playing in Kyle Shanahan's complex and creative system with the San Francisco 49ers, Juszczyk is the ultimate Swiss Army knife. He's not just a blocker, he's a legitimate offensive threat. He can run the ball with power, catch passes out of the backfield, and, of course, lay the wood as a lead blocker. He's the guy who does all the little things that don't show up on the stat sheet, but are absolutely crucial to the success of the 49ers offense. With over 2,000 yards from scrimmage in his career, he's shown that a fullback can be more than just a battering ram. He's a versatile, intelligent player who's become one of the most respected players in the league. In an era of offensive innovation, Juszczyk is the last great fullback standing. A bridge between the past and the present. Number 8, John Kuhn. If you ever watched a Green Bay Packers game at Lambeau Field in the 2010s, you heard it, a slow, guttural chant of Kuhn that would echo through the stadium every time he touched the ball. It was a beautiful, bizarre, and utterly unforgettable spectacle. But Kuhn was so much more than just a fan favorite. He was an incredibly effective and reliable player who carved out a long and successful career.
It's John Kuhn, and touchdown Packers.
A 3-time Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl champion, Kuhn was a key role player on some of those great Packers teams. He was the guy they turned to in short yardage situations, the guy who could always be counted on to get the tough yards. He wasn't going to break off a long run, but if you needed 1 yard, he was going to get you 2.
Kuhn pushing, driving. Yes, he's in. Touchdown.
In a decade where the fullback was already starting to fade away, Kuhn was a throwback, a beloved figure who kept the spirit of the position alive and well in Green Bay.
Gold Kuhn gets the call. Mayo driving his way in for the touchdown.
He was the fan favorite fullback, a legend in every sense of the word. Number 7, Mike Alstott.
And the pass out to Alstott. He's got blockers in front of him. Mike Alstott.
In a league where fullbacks were typically anonymous, blue-collar workers, Alstott was a bona fide superstar. He was a rare breed, a fullback who was not only a great blocker, but also a primary offensive weapon.
Here's the pass. Caught. Touchdown Alstott.
For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he wasn't just clearing a path, he was the path. Watching Alstott was an experience. He was a 6'1", 250-pound bruiser who seemed to actively seek out contact. He would bulldoze defenders, carrying him on his back for extra yards, a human pinball of destruction. But he wasn't just a battering ram. He had surprising agility and a nose for the end zone.
Alstott 2-1. Touchdown, Tampa Bay!
With over 5,000 rushing yards and a staggering 71 touchdowns in his career, he put up numbers that most running backs would be jealous of. A 6-time Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl champion, Allstott was living proof that a fullback could be both a punishing blocker and a franchise player. He was a stat machine, a highlight reel waiting to happen, and one of the most exciting players of his generation. Number 6, Lorenzo Neal. If you were a running back in the 2000s, you dreamed of having Lorenzo Neal in front of you. He was the ultimate human shield, a guy who took so much pride in his blocking that he turned it into an art form. Neal's impact can't be measured in yards or touchdowns, but it can be measured in the success of the running backs he played with. He blocked for an incredible 11 straight 1,000-yard rushers, a record that will likely never be broken. He was the lead blocker for guys like Eddie George and LaDainian Tomlinson, two of the greatest running backs of all time. They got the glory, but they were always the first to credit Neal for their success. He was a master of his craft, a technician who understood leverage, timing, and how to create the perfect running lane. He was, without a doubt, the best lead blocker ever, a true unsung hero of the game. Number 5, Mac Strong.
Hi, I'm fullback Mac Strong.
Strong was the definition of toughness, longevity, and reliability. He was a cornerstone of the Seahawks organization, a quiet leader who let his play do the talking. A 2-time Pro Bowler, Strong was the engine room of the Seahawks running game. His crowning achievement came in 2005 when he was the lead blocker for Shaun Alexander's MVP season. Alexander rushed for over 1,800 yards and a then NFL record 27 touchdowns, and Strong was right there in front of him on almost every single play. He was a selfless player who took immense pride in paving the way for his teammates. In a league with constant turnover, Strong's 14 seasons with one team is a testament to his skill and his character. His name said it all. He was Mac Strong, and he was one of the best to ever do it. Number 4, Daryl Moose Johnston. As the lead blocker for Emmitt Smith and the Dallas Cowboys, Moose was the unsung hero of a dynasty. While Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, and Emmitt Smith got all the headlines, Johnston was the guy in the trenches doing the dirty work. Smith went on to become the NFL's all-time leading rusher, a record that still stands today. But he would be the first to tell you that he couldn't have done it without Moose. Johnston was his enforcer.
Daryl, you mean the world to me.
The guy who cleared the way and protected him from oncoming defenders. He was a smart, tough, and selfless player who perfectly understood his role. He was so good, in fact, that the NFL created a new stat category for him, tracking the number of times a fullback's block led to a first down. With 3 Super Bowl rings to his name, Johnston was the ultimate winner, the dynasty fullback who was the heart and soul of those legendary Cowboys teams. Number 3, Tom Rathman. Playing for the San Francisco 49ers during their dynasty years, Rathman was so much more than just a blocker. In an offense loaded with Hall of Fame talent like Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, Rathman carved out a crucial role for himself as a versatile and reliable weapon. He had nearly 2,000 rushing yards in his career, but his real value came as a receiver out of the backfield. With an incredible 320 catches, he was one of Montana's favorite targets, a reliable safety valve who always seemed to be open. He had a knack for finding the soft spot in the defense and turning a short pass into a big gain. With 26 total touchdowns and 2 Super Bowl rings, Rathman was a key contributor to one of the greatest dynasties in NFL history. He was the complete fullback, a player who could run, block, and catch.
Not 1, not 2, but 3. Can you believe it? I can.
With the best of them. Number 2, Bronco Nagurski. Playing for the Chicago Bears in the 1930s, Nagurski was a football player from another planet. At 6'2" and 230 pounds, he was bigger and stronger than most of the linemen he was playing against. He was a one-man wrecking crew, a force in nature who dominated the game in a way that had never been seen before. The stories of his strength and toughness are legendary. They say he once ran into a wall at Wrigley Field and cracked the bricks. He was a punishing runner who could simply run over defenders, dragging them for extra yards. He was the face of the NFL in its early days, a larger-than-life figure who led the Bears to multiple championships. He was so dominant that he was named to the NFL's 100th anniversary all-time team. He was the first great fullback, the original gangster of the position, and a true legend of the game. Honorable mention, Before we get to our number 1 pick, we have to give a shout out to a few other legends who deserve recognition. First, there's Jim Brown.
This is Jim Brown, the most devastating ball carrier in the history of football.
While he's widely considered the greatest running back of all time, he was technically listed as a fullback for his entire career. With over 12,000 rushing yards and 3 MVP awards, he's arguably the greatest player in NFL history, period. We have to mention Larry Centers, the most versatile receiving fullback ever. With an incredible 827 receptions, he holds the record for the most catches by a running back in NFL history. And just for hits and giggles, there's William the Refrigerator Perry, the massive defensive tackle for the 1985 Chicago Bears, who became a cultural icon when he was used as a goal line fullback. Number 1, Larry Zonka. When it's all said and done, we have the man who defined the fullback position at its absolute peak, Larry Zonka. The heart and soul of the Miami Dolphins' perfect season, Zonka was a Hall of Famer, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, and the MVP of Super Bowl VIII. He was the ultimate fullback, a punishing, no-nonsense runner who embodied the smash-mouth style of the 1970s. Zonka was a battering ram of a runner, a guy who never shied away from contact. He would lower his shoulder and deliver a blow to defenders, wearing them down over the course of a game. He was the leader of that legendary Dolphins team, the guy who they turned to when they needed to close out a game. His performance in Super Bowl VIII, where he rushed for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns, is one of the greatest in Super Bowl history. He was the ultimate winner, a true champion who carried his team to glory. With a legacy that'll never be forgotten, Larry Zonka is, without a doubt, the greatest fullback in NFL history. The fullback may have gone from a centerpiece of the offense to a nearly extinct species, but for those who had the privilege of watching these legends play, the position will never be forgotten. They were the toughest guys on the field, the unsung heroes who did the dirty work so that others could shine. So, who do you think was the greatest fullback of all time? Drop your pick in the comments below.